this demand and supply dynamics and how we define economic growth, all of those are becoming, we need to find a new set of metrics essentially, right. So, so that's where we are with economies, right. So, every country is now trying to hold their GDP, right, because that's how you measure economic power as well, right. And if that is why more and more countries are becoming protective of their balance of exports and imports, and we see this right now playing out in the it happened in the US election. It was a big topic. It's now happening post election as well. The topic of trade and commerce is just something that we cannot ignore, right. Cross border ROI harder to pinpoint due to hyper competitive business environments, right, due to freely available digital technologies enabling every business in the world, right. So, cross border ROI is becoming questionable. That's exactly why I was telling you why IT outsourcing to other countries like India is no longer a low cost arbitration strategy, right. It is more than that. Now you are talking about skills. So, a lot of companies, IT services companies in India are transforming themselves as well to serve global markets, because they are now being asked to do things that they were never asked to do before, right. It is not just maintaining an email server or a Oracle ERP system or an SAP material handling system, but it is much more than that, right. So, it is disrupting those industries as well, right. So, this low cost arbitration is a good example of how cross border ROI is harder to justify, right. Same thing is going to happen with manufacturing, guaranteed. We are going to start seeing that shift happen in the next few years. Emerging countries are becoming more protective of their markets because middle class incomes are rising, right. Because of digital technologies, there is more innovation going on in every country in one form or the other, right. Your transportation systems are undergoing changing, your infrastructure is changing, right, and the type of companies that are being that are innovating, coming into the marketplace are also changing very rapidly, right. So, because of new business model changes due to digital technologies, you are seeing this huge wave of middle class finding new job opportunities in this digital world, right, and their incomes are rising. Middle class typically have both the husband and wife working in a household, right, with age range somewhere between 21 to 40, for example, right. So, that would be a good metric to look at. So, the middle class incomes are rising everywhere, right, in China, India, and if you look at Japan, they have an aging population, right. They are aging population, but they are living longer, right. So, it's very fascinating what is going on, because even they need products and services to as they extend their life, right, by using incorporating a lot of new technology that is enabling their systems, their biological systems to age slower, for example, right. So, it's a very fascinating time that we are living in. Middle class incomes are rising. So, every company in the world wants access to that middle income rising disposable income, right, obviously, right. You are in marketing, that's what you want. You want rising middle class, right, which forms the core of every country's population is the middle class, right. Close to, you can say, close to 50% of country's population fall into sort of that range, right, 30 to 50, I would say. So, or it may even be higher for all we know. We will go into those specific market research and statistics in the digital marketing research and analytics course. That will be exciting. So, high GDP growth rate is also shifting from developed markets to emerging markets because of number 3, right? A rising middle class and the use of digital technologies and the homogenization of markets, right, globalization, is basically the GDP growth rate is shifting from developed markets, which are saturated, right, there is not enough growth, is still under 1-2% growth rate, right, compared to 5-10% growth rate, which is phenomenal, very different, right, in emerging markets. So that's another challenge that we have, right. So on one hand, you want to be protective of your markets, right, in order to for your local companies in the country to actually have a chance to survive and then compete and then be profitable, right. And on the other hand, you have globalization as well. Consumers in each country want a choice. They don't want to be burdened by smaller set of choices, right, consumerization in effect. The fifth thing is harder to differentiate and sustain competitive advantage globally in the digital era, right. So I have articulated this point in several different views from different angles, and that's a very important one, right. Harder to differentiate, so what you have to do is have an innovation pipeline in your company, right. Whether it's a small company or a big company, you have to have an innovation pipeline, right. We've seen the effect of this with even with Apple, a very innovative company, right. In order to keep pace and grow revenue, right, they have to basically come up with new iPhones with new capabilities that even we as consumers have not imagined yet, right. That's true innovation. Very difficult, but some companies can do it. Apple is definitely one of them, right. And then you have Samsung, which is competing very hard, and they are also a very innovative company, right. LG, there are a number of companies out there that are in the same stage like this. So, but innovation pipeline, managing the innovation pipeline and actually experimenting, learning, and then incorporating that into a product or a service that is marketable, and then pushing it out to the marketplace. This is very challenging. You have to do it very fast, and at the same time, it has to be something that is going to be marketable in this hyper competitive environment that we live in the digital era. So you know about, so now you have a sense of the global business environment, the global business challenges, right. So now we are going to look at some global business strategies. How do you compete in this era of digital? This is not a solution, so to speak, but this is basically a guidance, right. And in this particular session, I'm going to talk more at a high level. We are going to go deeper into this in the next modules and in the courses that follow this. So just to recall, the digital business strategy framework consists of 5 two-dimensional elements, right. We know what those are, right. And you have digital 5 forces on the other end, right. So these two are operating in this dynamic context of customers, markets, and competitors, right. Highly dynamic market. So think of this as moving objects. It's changing all the time, right. So now we have connected the dots between the framework and the global challenges and the digital technologies, how they are influencing all of these. Okay. So let's dive into how do we apply the digital business strategy framework for these global business challenges that we were talking about, right. So let's look at the 5 two-dimensional elements: strategy and innovation, right. You definitely need to have a country level marketing plan of action, right. Not just marketing plan, a digital marketing plan of action, and an innovation pipeline strategy. How are you going to, you cannot enter a market with one product anymore, right. You need, because customers want choice. If you as a business, you want to grow your brand, the challenges are very, very enormous. So it's all centered around strategy and innovation. Second thing, process and workflow, right. So Country-specific business processes and workflows are very essential. It has to be very customized for local environments, local business environments, local requirements, local government regulations, the society and culture, right. So, without being able to customize the workflow and the business processes, you may not be able to provide the experience that customers there expect.